Previously on Miss President.
I'll start with collector Akwana and Betty Odero. Please stand up. After much deliberation, we are glad to see you're both staying in the house. Jane Apetet and Jacqueline Waweru. Jane, the last time you were here was because you were not focusing on the question. And today the same thing happened. And for that reason, Jane, we will let you leave the academy. But we are very proud of the person you have become. Connie Mungumbi and Carol Logot. Connie, as a leader, it is important for you to take responsibility of everything your group decides. Caroline Ogot, we were not very excited for you to say it is a slip of the tongue. We felt for a leader that is not right. And for that reason, you will leave the academy. However, we are very proud to have had you in the house and we are very glad for that. Thank you so much. And now to Lynette Mavo and Irene Mayaka. Now, I do not know what to expect. Whether we will have the Lynette and the Irene we saw during the auditions, or whether your character is still going to get into a lower character or a weaker character. What we saw is not what we are seeing right now. We will give you another chance, both of you in the house. And if we don't see an improvement, then we will have no choice. Thank you.
And now, a quick look at the parties before elimination. Remember, somebody from each party will be going home tonight. This episode marks the end of a long journey for some, but for those who will be nominated to stay in the academy, this is merely a step to a longer journey. Only 16 contestants will proceed to the next stage, confident to soldier on to become Kenya's first reality TV president. Every single one of the contestants has the intellect, wit, charm, and the courage to lead this nation. They are ready to take on the highest position in the land. Nakuuliza wewe, is Kenya ready for a female president? Engage me. Indulge me, in fact. Over 1,000 applications were received from all over Kenya, and from these, 70 contestants were shortlisted. After a series of auditions, 40 women were selected and they are battling it out at the academy, where they are going through a process of training, tasks, challenges, problem-solving activities, presentations and eliminations to eventually be elected Miss President. The candidates are divided into 4 groups as leadership doesn't work in a vacuum. Leaders are required to work with people from all walks of life. While working within these groups, the contestants will be tested on their ability to lead or work as a team. You can be sure that at every stage of this competition, you will be at the edge of your seat as these capable women try to convince the judges and you at home why they should make it to the next stage of the competition. Here are the counties that are represented by the remaining contestants. Now, let's meet our esteemed judges for this episode.
I'm Dr. Zipporah Okoth. I'm a lecturer of film and theatre arts at Kenyatta University. I'm also the founder of the Lake International Pan-African Film Festival. I'm a gender consultant and a performing artist. I'm looking for people who are informed, presentable, firm, and have a purpose.
Hi, I'm Jerry Kirene. I work in the policy environment, helping various small groups lobby for better laws for business. I'm a tough judge. I'm no nonsense. The minute you come before me, you better know your stuff. If you don't, well, you can only expect a challenge.
My name is Henry Wera. I'm a human rights activist specializing in labor rights. My expectation of the contestants is how they'll be confident about labor issues, the understanding of how government can be involved in how to address those challenges to ensure that workers are working in a decent environment.
The top contestants' understanding, capability, and strength of character will be tested as they continue on this path to leadership. Today's trainer will take us through labor and employment, a key issue every president must be knowledgeable about, as it is a major factor in driving a country's economy. I'm sure you must be having quite a number of questions on labor and employment. So let's listen to what the trainer and the contestants have to share with us on this.
Hi, my name is Salome Odero. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I work with an organization called Haki Mashinani. I am the executive director and co-founder. The organization promotes the rights of marginalized members of the community with an aim of improving their socio-economic, cultural, and legal rights.
Greetings, Your Excellencies. Mwalimu ingia. Pigie makofi tafadhali. Tumpigie our guest judge for today, Henry Wera. So I'm going to hand over now to Mwalimu to continue.
Thank you so much.
Step up.
Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Excellencies. Good morning. This is supposed to be an interactive session. When we talk about labor, broadly, what we're talking about is the services somebody offers for gain, or the services you offer for you to be paid. And labor has different ways or different mechanisms under which it manifests itself. Some work for free, some work for a wage, some work for a salary, some do it as a consultant, others do it because they want to volunteer, they want the experience. But as Miss President, why do you want to become the president? Do you look at it as employment? Do you look at it as service to your people? What exactly is it? Is it employment to you, or is it a calling? For some women, they do it because they don't have a choice. They do it because they're single parents. They do it because they're survivors of gender-based violence, and as a result, they need to move from a situation whereby they feel unsafe, so that they can get into a situation where they feel this is meaningful. I'm doing something to elevate myself as a woman. Why exactly do we have unemployment in Kenya? And for those ones who have been employed, are they getting the benefit, the full benefit of what is necessary for them? These are questions that you should be able to ponder over so that you can have an ideal picture of the real situation of labor in the country. Decent work for women. What is decent? And what is decent work for women?
I want to believe is where a woman will work comfortably, and especially being mothers. So where I'll be able to get time to be able be with my children, at the same time do good production at the workplace.
Do you all agree with that? You have the time to work in a conducive environment that gives you an enabling time for you to not just work for gain, but also have time to go back to your other personal life and for your family.
And then also opportunities for growth. So there has to be a component of capacity enhancement and growth within and between the hierarchies.
A decent work for women includes fair income for workers. So fair income is based on how much is fair. What is decent for you to actually survive so that you're not forced to be involved in other vices that are not beneficial to you. So the basis for living wage is premised on the minimum wage. So the minimum wage sets you to know how much do you need to survive. So the living wage is the least minimum income that you need to meet your basic needs. Safe working condition, it was addressed. What is safe? I go to work, I'm supposed to feel safe. I'm working for you, I'm supposed to do that which I need to do. Now, safety at the workplace is governed by the Occupational Safety and Health Act. So the Act provides for the health, safety, and welfare of all persons employed and all persons lawfully present at the workplace. Lawfully present.
I would look at lawfully present as, for example, there are sometimes you're supposed to be on site or outside the site. So if you don't wear protective gears and you're present, and again, maybe you're not supposed to be on site, then that is not being lawfully present.
So when you talk about safety, it's a process of protecting an employee from work-related illness and injury, and to make the workplace, which is the building, secure from intruders or internally during their daily work. Policies, workplace policies have to be there to ensure that security is achieved. You have CCTV cameras, you have suggestion box, you have anonymous reporting system, or you have the sexual harassment policy. What does the law say about sexual harassment at the workplace?
In my view, every employer or organization must have a policy that clearly articulates how sexual harassment is addressed in their workplace.
And what should companies do to curb sexual harassment at the workplace?
In the course of my undertakings, I've had a case whereby an intern has complained about sexual harassment from the boss.
Yes.
And one of the challenges that she had was that she could not report it because there was no evidence. You know, when you tag on a woman's brow, you just spank her, there is no evidence to just demonstrate what has happened. But what I told her to do was to just raise it. The effect of that was that 6 more interns and even women who work in the organization came up saying this particular person also does the very same things to us.
Yeah.
So I think the moral of the story is we should have this courage to just speak out our minds, because it is encouraging a culture of women speaking out and saying this is wrong, and it is actually infringing on our rights as women.
Now, challenges faced at the workplace. Some of them have been restricted to join a trade union, in that they say we'll negotiate better terms than what is in the CBA. Not always the case. Low pay for women workers, sexual harassment. This one goes without even saying. Women not given or taking up leadership position. Either they feel they're not sufficient, or the circumstances and situations within the environment does not give them a very conducive work environment for them to actually step out of their shell to be able to take up leadership position. Working long hours without pay, overtime. Redress mechanism. How do you fight for your right if you're not paid? If you're being paid little and you have all the documentation, you have the pay slip, you have everything, and then you have the backing of the law, go to court, lodge your complaints through a lawyer or by yourself. Then say, I've been paid this, but my contract has been terminated. However, I was being paid such a low sum. The law says this is my minimum. You'll actually be paid the balance on top of what you should have been paid. So there are redress mechanisms. Court is good, but also let's appreciate arbitration and mediation. It works really, really well. That way you save relationship of both your employer and also the relationship of the employee. We have such good laws, I can tell you that one for sure. But are people aware of these laws? And are systems in place for them to be able to, achieve them? As Ms. President, these are questions that you should be able to ponder over. Application of the Bill of Rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What are those rights? What are the Bill of Rights? Article 27, equality of women on the equal treatment and equal opportunity in political, economic, social, and cultural spheres. Women and employers have to be accorded opportunities to engage in holding positions of power. We have to do that. The 2/3 gender rule has to be implemented. We have to realize it. Article 91(1)(f) provides that political parties shall respect and promote human rights and fundamental freedoms and gender equality and equity. SDG 5 on gender equality. We need to look at that, we need to comprehend that, then we need to live that. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. SDG 8 also calls upon the government to ensure that there are policies and ways and mechanisms of ensuring that there's decent work for women and men to ensure that we have a cohesive society. So thank you so much, Your Excellencies. I believe in you. and I believe you can do a good job.
Quite enlightening, and of course I wanted to contextualize labor relations and move myself away from the usual formal employment, especially for women like myself who are in leadership and politics. Yeah, so I think it was a start, but more conversation needs to happen.
The amount of sexual harassment that's going on in the office place. So that's something that I need to go back now that I'm re-energized. But so far we have been doing well. We are trying in Makueni County. We did the sexual harassment policy, it's in place, and the sensitization has been ongoing.
My takeaway is the knowledge I've gained so far is just so invaluable, and the things that I will put in practice, like literally from tomorrow, going forward.
Over 1,000 applications were received from all over Kenya, and from these, 70 contestants were shortlisted. After a series of auditions, 40 women were selected, and they are battling it out at the academy, where they are going through a process of training, tasks, challenges, problem-solving activities, presentations, and eliminations to eventually be elected Miss President. The candidates are divided into 4 groups, as leadership doesn't work in a vacuum. Leaders are required to work with people from all walks of life. While working within these groups, the contestants will be tested on their ability to lead or work as a team. You can be sure that at every stage of this competition, you will be at the edge of your seat as these capable women try to convince the judges and you at home why they should make it to the next stage of the competition. Here are the counties that are represented by the remaining contestants. And now, a quick look at the parties before elimination. Remember, somebody from each party will be going home tonight. From today's class, we've learned that labor is services offered for gain. Issues to look at in labor and employment include fair income for workers, safe working environment, and fair workplace policies. Challenges facing women at the workplace include low wage, sexual harassment, discouragement from taking up leadership positions, and working long hours without pay. Okay, time now to bring in Mwalimu Tena and the judges for the task. Mwalimu, tumpigie makofi tafadhali. Judges,
Yes.
Honorable Zippy, Dr. Zippy, Honorable Kenere, guest judge Mr. Henry Wera from Hivos. So you may be seated. So I'm going to hand over back to Mwalimu. She will take you to the task and what her expectations are, and then of course it begins to roll over.
Thank you so
Instruments
much.
of power.
Thank you so
Take
much.
over.
Yes. So the question, I will read it out, and then you will have the paper with you to make reference. You realize that qualified female workers are not getting promotion in the company XYZ. Most of them have reported sexual harassment violations, underpayment, lack of friendly childcare facilities, unsafe work conditions, and discrimination of persons living with disabilities. Task 1. List the stakeholder groups you would involve. 2. What are some of the means and ways you'd like to respond to this situation working with the different stakeholder groups? So we all have the question before us. We will start the 30 minutes now.
Yes, they will give us direction. Yes.
Maybe have someone from energy.
So I was thinking, as you said, we list one, then maybe what we do is, do they have the capacity?
Yes. Sexual offences are to look internally then externally. Directly, okay? Is it a stakeholder? Is the ministry a stakeholder?
I can say each and every.
So to me,
we need to take it now out of the company. First, we have identified the stakeholders. For example,
They may not be aware of the rights as women.
so we also have a code that the government gives.
Okay. So 5 minutes for group presentation, and once you're done, the next group just continues.
We identified the following stakeholders. These are the female workers, who are the victims, the board of directors, who review and establish the policies, management, this is the legal HR, the human resource, the finance, and the director, Ministry of Labor and Social Services, and the Public Health and Safety Officer.
We developed a response plan based on the problems. Number one, for the sexual violation of female workers, we want to create a women-only safe space where they can express their opinions and views and exchange ideas. We also want to put in place a confidential reporting system on sexual harassment. For underpayment, we propose to have a salary grading system that is based on a market survey. We also want to have a fair appraisal system and promotion practice within the organization. To address lack of friendly childcare, we actually know that we can obtain advice on best practices from a child welfare expert who understands the infrastructure that we need. And we also look at setting up a room for mothers to change babies and also to breastfeed. And this will not be next to the toilet. That's a concern. And also for our women, we want to make sure we have sanitation facilities in all our rooms.
So for sexual harassment, we have XYZ company. Will deal with the top management, the directors, and the HR department. We have other stakeholders like National Gender and Equality Commission. We'll also work together with the Kenya Human Rights Commission, and the citizens are also stakeholders. The interventions will have a sexual harassment policy in place where we define what is sexual harassment. We will try to have CCTVs within the organization so that we can be able to capture when those things are happening. We would like to have a phone number where the victims can be able to report directly without intimidation. Underpayment. We'll have in place schemes of service. We'll do job rationalization where it will be very clear how much money you are supposed to earn. For discrimination of persons with disabilities, we'll ensure that the buildings are accessible to persons with disabilities, especially having ramps, designated washrooms. We'll ensure we have braille work aids for the blind. Sign language interpreters will also be put in place.
The stakeholders that we listed as a group, the first one is trade unions. Trade unions are meant to deal with issues of wages, such as underpayment, so that those members would sit down and talk about the issues of payment with the administration of the company. Then with the Ministry of Labor, through capacity building on the labor laws, we want to invite them to come to our company to teach us on what labor laws are there and what is stipulated in those laws. We'd invite FIDA to look into sexual harassment cases and the issue of unequal promotions. We'd also work with the National Gender Equality Commission to deal with perceived discrimination, lack of promotion, and lack of child-friendly facilities. We'd also want to work with the Kenya National Human Rights Commission to implement a human rights policy because issues of discrimination, harassment, and safe working condition are human rights issues. So we'd also like to bring them in as a critical stakeholder.
The first problem is the sexual harassment. Here we are going to engage the company. This is both female and male workers. We are going to make sure that the company has a clear stipulation on the Sexual Harassment Act policies. We are also going to make sure that we have the CCTV cameras in the company so that we may know what is happening to these female workers. We are also going to ask the company that we may have suggestion boxes so that we can have anonymous reporting of sexual harassment cases. For underpayment, we are going to again engage the company. the labor offices, and the trade unions. For the unsafe working conditions, again, we are going to start with engaging the company. That is the internal. We go engage the company and know how these workers, their issues could be dealt with in the company level. Discrimination on the people living with disability, we are also going to engage the company, CSOs, and NGOs. Thank you so much.
Okay, round of applause, Your Excellencies. Mwalimu?
I'll comment that you guys did a good job. You are Miss President. You are the Excellency. You have the power and the authority to declare decisions to be made. You have it in you to say this is what needs to be done. And you're not working in isolation. You have ministries that you need to work with. You have departments that you have to work with. You can make a declaration for good pay. We have beautiful laws, we have good laws. It's the implementation of the same. So that is where you need to find out why they're not being implemented. But also as Miss President, when you go to sign contracts to bring businesses into the country, whose interests are you looking at first and foremost? Thank you.
Okay. So of course, once we allow the judges to step out, then you will have, I'm sure you've figured out who you want to nominate. We shall proceed.
I don't feel she is confident enough. When I tried to weigh the other members of my group according to what I felt was how I looked at it, I thought I would nominate her.
Because of I and me syndrome. That's what we call I did that. I want that. If that can be changed, she's a very good lady.
That she needs to improve in areas of listening and also negotiating in a way that she can accommodate.
Because I believe she is not a team player.
In the group work when she was representing us, she really didn't represent us fully.
I find her rather loud.
I still think she needs to work on her image.
The contestants have finished the nomination. Who did they nominate? Who will the judges pick? Who will go home? Let's hear what the judges have to say. It's a prelude to finding out who is staying and who is going home. The judges have made their decision and they're here with us. There was a reason why this is called Miss President. That women may be that change leadership that we need in this country, that they're able to engage different, still be politicians. And master, because the smaller the numbers they get, the cutthroat this becomes, and these women simply disappear and become politicians like everyone else.
Having watched them from audition,
yes,
the people who are going to be in the house, and even at this point of the competition, you'll realize there are people with a very encouraging backstory. They have had a major challenge in their lives,
yes,
in their personal lives,
yes,
and they overcame.
Yes, yes.
And when you look generally in the society, you'll find that women who have made it to top positions have got a challenge that they faced in their life, and
yes,
it really probed them. It
yes,
really pushed them to make it. You know, it's that thing of like, what is the worst that can happen?
True.
Here I am, and I'm
True.
pushing on. And when you look at the candidates who are in the house right now, I remember during the auditions, and each has a story, and I'm like, there is more than just wanting to be Miss President here. They have a heart, they have a purpose, and they want to lead people with integrity.
This is a competition.
Yes.
There is one seat.
Well, just gauging by the participation today and the way they express their understanding of the issues that were being discussed today, I can say that we have a good amount of a real transformation and a mindset change. The yes we can, the yes we can philosophy, you could see it in a majority of them. So for me, I think it's something in the right direction that this will be able to be sustained, because at this point, you know, it is believing that I can.
Irrespective of
what happens.
Whether you're thrown out now
yeah,
or the other issue.
This is like an incubation
yes,
for leaders, and we've taken them through the rigor, and they have accepted and have taken on the challenge. The challenge now goes back out to those who are outside watching them here.
Oh.
That is their families, the institutions where they work, our own politicians and our leaders in government, to recognize these women who have taken the chance to put themselves out there, and more so for the men to support them. That's the only way we can sustain this, so that we can see an outcome, a real outcome from what we've done here.
Can't add anything more to that. So who's staying? Or who's going? We'll find out when you come back. Stay with us. Over 1,000 applications were received from all over Kenya, and from these, 70 contestants were shortlisted. After a series of auditions, 40 women were selected, and they are battling it out at the academy, where they are going through a process of training, tasks, challenges, problem-solving activities, presentations, and eliminations to eventually be elected Miss President. The candidates are divided into 4 groups, as leadership doesn't work in a vacuum. Leaders are required to work with people from all walks of life. While working within these groups, the contestants will be tested on their ability to lead or work as a team. You can be sure that at every stage of this competition, you will be at the edge of your seat as these capable women try to convince the judges and you at home why they should make it to the next stage of the competition. Here are the counties that are represented by the remaining contestants. And now, a quick look at the parties before elimination. Remember, somebody from each party will be going home tonight. We have come to that moment when 4 people will be going home. Who will stay? Who will be on probation? And who is going home?
Hello everyone. We are very glad to be here once more, because it takes us closer and closer to finding the ultimate Miss President. I'll hand over to Ms. Njeri to call the people who have been nominated to go home.
And I shall begin by calling the following names. Nadia Abdallah, please come forward. Lucy Daisy, please come forward. Angela Haki, please come forward. Jacqueline Mungumi, please come forward. Bright Star Kasioka, please come forward. And finally, Coletta Kwana, please come forward. I shall now hand over to Honorable Wera.
Excellency Angela Mwihaki. Your Excellency, you have been just elected into office.
Right.
And as part of your briefing, you have been informed that there is a 2/3 gender rule. But there's still a big challenge in representation of women in various leadership capacities, both in government and in workplaces. What one thing would you do in your first 100 days to ensure that the position of women as reflected in the 2/3 gender rule is respected?
In my first 100 days, I would launch an awareness and sensitization campaign to help demystify what exactly this 2/3 gender rule means. Why do we need to have it cut across not only in a parliament but also in our various sectors, and that we need to start within the cabinets, ensuring that all positions of power are created and reshuffled and rearranged to ensure that the gender rule is in place in cabinet and as we graduate it down the system.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellency Nadia Abdallah. Your Excellency, you have just been elected in office.
Yes.
And as part of the handover from the previous regime, you have been informed that there is an outdated minimum wage law. Workers are being grossly underpaid. What would you do in your first 100 days to ensure that workers are earning a decent wage?
Okay, so the first thing I would do is I would call up a meeting with my cabinet and find out what strategy we can actually use in order to enforce this law on having, the law needs to be re-evaluated and looked up and find out why exactly it didn't work at the first time in order for us to do better with my cabinet to make a better one for the women. For the minimum wage, sorry.
Thank you very much. Her Excellency Lucy Daisy, you have just been elected. As part of your briefings on the various sectors of the economy, it has been brought to your attention that a majority of workers in one sector called agriculture are women. And therefore, it would be appropriate for them to have childcare services provided by the workplaces. Your Excellency, you have also been briefed that it is not provided anywhere in law. What would you do in a step to be able to identify with the plight of these women who are your voters?
Bearing in mind that it has not been provided in the law, so I would advise the parliamentaries to come up with a bill that would be passed so that we may take care of the children's right in the workplaces, because in the human rights they also need to be protected.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Bright Star Kasioka. Based on the assignment that we had, the take-home assignment, which was on the issue of the governor allowing canvassing for one of his friends to get a tender, one of the things you mentioned was you would challenge your governor directly. Do you consider that to be the appropriate way to handle a situation like that, given that you are now an agent of change in the county government?
No, I don't think so.
What do you think would be a better alternative?
The better alternative is to write an email. To write an email to the governor, because once it's written, I have an evidence that I communicated, and I will tell her that I'm not meeting her because I don't know what will happen. I will not tell her that, but now I'm explaining to you. So if she insists, I have the law, and I will not be quick to give my job like I had said before. I would the Procurement Act, and I can even go to I won't go to court. I can even use the Procurement Act, and because it is still stipulates clearly that we as a county executive, we have our rights. And then from there, I'm not sure she will call me again, because she will understand, because I'll have the law with me.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
I now call Jacqueline Mungomi to the front, please. So referring back to the same assignment,
yes,
one of the things you mentioned that you would do is look for an opportunity to speak to the governor outside the office. We are now going to assume that the governor is a male, is a man.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
You are aware about the Sex Offences Bill?
Yes.
Now, putting yourself in that situation, how would you be able to ensure that you as a woman would be protected from something bad happening to you?
First, I want to correct the perception about meeting the governor outside the office. I'll wait for an opportunity. For instance, we have times we accompany the governor, probably in a church function, in a community function, or even in a workshop outside the offices. While there, we actually queue with our governor for tea. That's a good opportunity when he says, how are you, how is work? And then I'm like, Mr. Governor, there's this you asked. I don't think it will work this time because of this and this. It becomes very easy to get something even your department has been wishing to get, maybe budget issues or something.
How many more people do you think are looking for him to whisper to him in the line?
I am not the only person, but I know as the CEC, I have a good chance to see my governor anytime is available.
Please have a seat. Colette, please come forward. Okay. Have you vied for any position of leadership other than your school, high school or college experience?
Well, not political leadership, to be honest.
What kind of leadership?
I belong to a professional body called the Kenya Christian Lawyers Fellowship. I
help convene the Public Policy and Legislation Committee. I'm also a member of the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. I work closely with the Governance Committee as well.
So everything that you have learned in this couple of episodes that we've been here, how do you think you can apply that in the roles, the various roles that you play?
I think there's been a lot to do with integrity. So one of the things that I tend to apply is to be very conscious of this very black and white line that has really easily become so gray, to be conscious to that fact. And then secondly, it's been especially at the group task level, I've come to a place where I have learned that, if I listen, there's a lot that I can learn from. And I think listening to people at all levels, not just as your peers, but your subordinates and your colleagues as well.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
I will now hand over to my Honorable Judge Zippy.
Generally, the answers that were given today, it is almost difficult to say that somebody was right or wrong, because they were application questions. And when it comes to application questions, anything goes. So we were looking at not just the answer, it was about how you responded. Because at this stage, I will always keep repeating, the women in this room are more than intelligent enough. So it's not about right or wrong, it's about the how. Coletta Kwana, stand up. Angela Mwihaki, stand up. Jacqueline Koni Mungumi, stand up. Lucy Daisy, stand up. Today, we were supposed to have only 12 more contestants into the next episode. However, because of the change that we have seen in the four of you, it was almost impossible not to give you another chance in the academy and to see how best you can improve and become better. So congratulations, you're back into the academy. You can have a seat. Nadia Abdallah and Bright Star Kasioka, the two of you have the greatest promise that we can ever have. We are going to let you go home, but one thing we know is that you are our promise. When we announce for the next season of Miss President, it will be a pleasure to have your names among the people who will be in the next house, because you have learned, you have gotten the exposure, and I do not understand why you will not be there again. Thank you so much. Yeah. Your Excellencies, this is another chance to battle it out so as to be the ultimate Miss President. So once more, congratulations and make us proud. Thank you.
I didn't fulfill, I would say. What is it, didn't fulfill? Yeah, didn't fulfill like what I actually wanted to do, which is to encourage the people of Mombasa that, especially the women, that we can also do it. We can also be in shows like this and, breaking the stereotypes, because those are the stereotypes around us women, especially like a Muslim, hijabi, Swahili, Arab, whatever it is, woman. Maybe I'll see a bigger picture once days go by, but for now I feel like I've kind of let them down.
Of course, I had a mixed emotions at some point, but I think now I've accepted it and it's fine. I will still follow my ambitions and my passions, and I will still do everything that I've been doing and add it more. So yeah, it's alright for me.
That was beyond a close shave. I'm getting a new strategy. Forget everything I knew, start afresh. And I think, yes, and I have to start declaring, hi, my name is Angela Mwihaki. Yes, and be very loud about it.
It feels so good, and I must say that I feel so humbled. And all I would say is that I thank God and my friends and family who have been really praying for me, because I only told them to pray for me, and on my side I'll do my best. Yeah.
When I came to this competition, what made me apply for Miss President wasn't really a title. It was really for me an opportunity to prove to myself that I can do this. There are very many things that have happened both at my professional career level that have made me question the ability of me becoming a leader.
So I really hope that I listen to what they're telling me and also what they're not telling me, so that I can really put my head into what I need to do in the academy.
After a busy and highly charged day at the academy, it's time to take a breather. For some, probation calls for a meeting with self in order to assess or change strategies so as to remain in the competition. For others, the tears and goodbyes to newfound friends will close the day. Contestants. I mean, I'm lost for words. Each one of these women has what it takes to lead, and they already are leaders in their own individual capacities. You know, it's not easy watching some leave us tonight, having walked this journey with them from the start and experienced their growth and hunger for the top seat. But as is the rule of the jungle, survival remains for the fittest. Join us next week as we go behind the academy and discover more about each of the remaining contestants in the academy. Thoughts, opinions, compliments, suggestions? Tweet us on @media_focus. Find us on Facebook @Media Focus on Africa, and check us out on Instagram @Media Focus on Africa. Hillary Clinton said, "Women are the largest untapped reservoir of talent in the world."